Good morning, and good morning. Welcome to a revived Vedanta Book Club. In the past, we've always had it in the afternoon. We decided it's easier for more people to attend if we have it once a month in place of one of the Sunday morning talks. So thank you everyone for coming and participating in this new activity, a new way of doing things on at least one of the Sunday mornings. It's also, we'll be repeating this on the Friday night discussion once a month. The Friday night discussions will also be the Vedanta Book Club. We are starting with dipping into the book by Pravrajika Ajayaprana. Most of you knew her. She is the late and very revered nun who started this center. She was a remarkable figure, very widely read. Her talks would be full of anecdotes from a very interesting life. And she was very good at bridging that gap between an ancient philosophy and the modern world that we live in. And we are going to start by dipping into her article on the restless mind. I've divided the article up into numerous slides in a PowerPoint presentation. So in little chunks, we'll explore it and discuss. So we'll look at one slide, then it'll be open to, well, Gayatriprana will give some commentary. Then we'll have some discussion, question, answer, then move on to the next slide. And we've got plenty of time. We'll take our time, as much questioning and discussion, more the better. And I would imagine it might take a few of these monthly meetings to finish the article. Well, I would hope so. I'd hope it would stimulate enough discussion for it to span out to that. So we'll be inviting Pravrajika Gayatriprana to lead the discussion, and I'll just get the PowerPoint up. We have a sorry. We have a roving mic which we can pass around. So when you ask the questions, everybody can hear, including the people who have joined us via Zoom. Just give me a moment, Gayatriprana. I'm just doing a bit more setting up here.
This is the book that we are following, the Vedanta in Practice, Spiritual Unfoldment.
Yeah, we have copies of that book for
quite a few articles
bookshop.
are there. This is the second article. So actually, most of them talks given in Malaysia, Singapore, and some in India. They have
on the screen now, that's Pravrajika Ajayaprana Mataji. We'll go to the first slide. So it's the first part of the article. The real activity is within. I mean, I've created some subheadings just to stimulate things. We all agree that we've got a mind and that the mind is restless. That itself shows we would like the mind to be quiet, and we are aware that it is not so. The real workshop in our life's research is not outside. The outside world is just a platform. The real activity is within. If I can discover what is inside me, that is the greatest achievement. External factors, the cooperation of people and circumstances, may have helped me to achieve this. However, the chief participator in the grand venture is my own mind.
So everybody will agree that the mind is restless. There's no doubt about that. And how do we know the mind is restless? Because when we busy in the work, we don't realize that our mind is restless because we are shift thinking from one thing to another, looking at different things, hearing different things. So the mind is always in motion. But when we try to sit quietly, then we realize our mind is restless. Anything. If say you are driving the car, you are just the same route you are driving, so you don't have to pay much attention. You know automatically or almost half consciously you can know where things are. Then you realize the mind is moving. If you just watch the mind, what is my mind doing? If you just look at it, you can see the mind is going from one thing to another. Maybe seeing something on the road, look at the other driver, then suddenly it will go, oh, last week in this place what happened? Or week before last year, 10 years before. All those things come on and on, like you cannot say it's like a movie, because the movie will have connection. The film that we see, each slide will have connection to the previous one or the next one. But our thoughts, if you watch the thoughts, often they are disconnected. One thought comes for a second, then from there it jumps to another one. From there it goes to something completely different one. The mind is always jumping. So we all know that mind is restless. And we are not happy with that. Everybody say that. Children may not realize that, but adults will say, oh, my mind is so restless. That's why here she says, we would like the mind to be quiet. Because when the mind is quiet, even for half a second, if the mind is not jumping around, we can feel the peace. Mind is jumping from one thing to another. If it is not jumping, we get a peace, little peace. And the idea is to keep the mind stop from jumping, so that, or keep the mind on one idea or thought for a longer time before it jumps to the next one. That is trying to calm the mind, we say. So that's what he is saying. The real workshop is in life's research is not outside. The world is just a platform. The activity is within. In the last class when we had the discussion on Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, we saw how the subtle body is the real person. The external body, the physical body, is just a covering. The real action, whatever we are doing, is actually in the subtle body, within. We say, I'm speaking, you are all listening. But you can be sitting here listening, or apparently listening, but the mind can be somewhere else. And so if I ask you, what did I say? What was the last sentence I said? Half the people won't be able to say. Because the mind, of course, the sound wave went, and in the eardrum, it went to the brain, all that happened. But the mind was not there, so it didn't register. So the real person, that, as we discussed last time, the real person is the internal, what we call the subtle body. So that's why here, and main part of it is the mind. Mind with its different actions or activities. We can divide the mind into 4 parts, or depending upon the function. So the real platform is, the real research is in the mind, inside, not outside. The real activity is within. And if I can discover what is inside me, that's the greatest achievement. To know what's inside us, what's in our mind. For that, we have to examine our mind. We have to explore our mind. Most of us don't do that. What are the thoughts going to our mind? We don't think. We just float with them, with the thoughts. And then get happy, become happy, get upset. because the thoughts are floating one after another. Some happy thoughts come, some disturbing memories come up. We are not actually analyzing what is in our mind. The chief participant in the grand venture to achieve anything is my own mind. All those people who have achieved anything in any field have got the mind under their, little bit under the control. I won't say completely under control, but at least for the time being, they have got the mind under control. It's not jumping around. So now we are all talking about everybody is interested in the sports that's going on, the Olympics. Look at all those participants, not just the ones who are getting medals. Every single person who is representing their country and coming there is the best in that country. So they all, for the time being, their mind is calm. They are completely concentrated on whatever they are doing. The mind is not going anywhere else. So that's why they are able to excel in that particular field. So we all can do that if we can get our mind calm down a little.
All right, so we've got time now for any questions, discussion, comments. I mean, I'm reflecting on.
Stafford was.
So we calm our minds by meditation. Is that the only way?
Meditation is no, it's not just the meditation is the only way. Meditation is one of the way, and especially when you say meditation, meditation is concentrating the mind on something higher. But even calming the mind, you just say in the nature, you go to and be in the nature, or say on the beach, sit there quietly watching the waves, the ocean. Slowly, you can see the mind settles down. The solitude helps a lot, because there will be less disturbances from the external world. When we try to reduce the disturbances from the external world, sensations that we get through the 5 senses from the external world is reduced to a certain extent, the mind will calm down a little bit. But complete calming of the mind is when the mind is under our control.
Thanks for that perspective. Yeah. So what I would like to know is, yeah, I understand if you're in a solitude, I feel it's a kind of a defensive mechanism. You're just by yourself so that you're avoiding, the external interactions with the external world and all of it. And yes, mind does calm down, but that's not how you go about your life, right? And how do you build that strength that once that mind calms down and once you start interacting back in the world, not everyone will be at your vibrations or at your level of whatever the spiritual awareness that you have attained. And when such external factors kind of triggers or disturbs, then yes, you can settle down. But how do you handle? How do you get stronger, and how do you bring that calmness into them so that defensiveness is one thing, but I can't, in my case, I don't want to go through entire life being defensive. We just want to go about and do your work without getting affected by the external triggers. And yeah, how do you manage that?
See, that going to the solitude, you mind gets a little bit calmed down for the time being, and then you practice it different times, the mind gets stronger and stronger. It's like taking, say, vaccination. Vaccination, we don't take it all the time, but the body builds up the immunity. So this calming down Once in a while you do that, slowly the mind gets stronger and will be able to, even when the disturbances from external world come, the mind will be able to withstand that and don't get too much agitated. Get agitated a little bit, but will come back to the, or quicker or easier to come back to the equilibrium state.
Recovery is.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Can we?
Mm.
It's a discussion, I suppose. That's right. Well, when we say controlling or disciplining the mind by itself cannot do. It's something higher than the mind has to take. If I need to dictate terms, I should stand on a higher pedestal. So there is something which is more superior, more higher than the mind. That is intellect, reason. So here comes the reason, which will give you, this is another prospect of how to control through reason. Always something better should be there to control the lower ones. The mind is a lower one. Intellect is higher. Intellect can analyze and take the decision. This is right, this is not right. It can help the mind. Look, there's no meaning in doing this. Just you keep quiet. The intellect will reason. So if you nurture this aspect of our subtle organ, that's also a subtle organ. Man, buddhi, chitta, and ahankar, all these are subtle. So if you take recourse to buddhi, the buddhi will give strength to the mind. It's like the person who is holding the rein. Rein is the mind. Mind is the rein. The intellect is the driver. So he will help the rein, that's the mind, to hold on or to let go or whatever it is. And in that way, even the horses are also trained. So that will be another prospect. So, solitude and reason.
I just wanted to raise a point related to this about our overactive minds in the modern world. And I was reading, it's astonishing to realize that in the modern world, we make anything from 33 to 35,000 decisions a day. That is what they've calculated. So that's everything, what are you going to eat, where, say, how you will say it, on and on and on it goes. And it's been pointed out that, of course, this is a very recent phenomenon where we are compelled to have such an active mind and to make so many decisions in the earlier stages of humanity, or the majority of humanity's history. I don't know what the figures are, what are they calculated, but that's just showing we are facing a much bigger challenge in this modern world to manage our mind.
Early days, we didn't have so much of choices. Now they have got so much of choice: eating, drinking, wearing. So much of choice is there. So we have got much more decisions to take. Whether I should wear the trousers and jacket, or which warm clothes I should wear, which pair of socks I should wear. So much of choice in clothes. So it's the early days, people had just few clothes. There was not much choice there was not much choice, and there was less decisions to make. Easy.
I just wanted to add that, yes, today we do have choices. We do have to make several decisions. But I think where the reasoning and this whole analysis comes to mind is, okay, you do make the choice, done, then stay calm. I mean, it's almost like doing it, stepping back, doing it, stepping back. That discipline of simply stepping back is one of the things I think we need to perhaps cultivate, because choice will be there, but you don't have to run with the choice. Do the choice, step back. And that stepping back is a habit that one could cultivate. It's almost like a silent meditation through all of that, an extra layer. Thank you.
Back.
Gayatriprana ji, I just wanted to ask you a question or your thoughts. Usually from this talk, you're talking about quietening the mind. And I want to know, when you're trying to quieten your mind, are you, well, obviously when you're thinking, you're dwelling on an impression. Are you trying to let go of the impression, suppress the impression, or put it aside? So in order to quieten, what is the process? Are we trying to forget something, or letting go and never letting it come back? What
See,
happens?
suppressing the impressions, it's not a solution, because suppressing means you're pushing down, and you remove the force, it come back. And trying to forget also, oh, I want to forget this thought. That means which thought I want to forget? I find out which this particular thought I want to forget. And every time you say yourself, I want to forget this thought, you are feeding the thought. It becomes stronger. So when a thought comes to mind, you observe it. And this is something happened years ago. Why should I bother about it? Let it go. Observe it. See, look at it. Hey, this is something happened. Wait, let it go. Don't pay much attention to it. Ignore it. Don't pay attention. Then it will slowly, it will go away.
Thank you.
All right, so maybe we might move on to the next slide. We've had pretty good discussion with that one. Oh, yeah, sorry, Kanan.
And
you
you
were-
stand here and go around giving the microphone.
Do you want me to do that after the? Okay. I just wanted to ask you, so are you saying that when you let go of that thought, that's what gives you the peace? You're just seeing it idly drift by, and that process is somehow providing you with a
See,
peace?
the peace is actually between the gap between two thoughts. One thought has moved away, or one desire has been moved away from the mind, and the next one hasn't come. That small gap, that's what we call peace, when there is no thought at the mind. And our aim is to increase the gap between the two thoughts, between two desires.
Can you just shorten the thoughts itself in order to widen that gap?
How can you shorten thought? If you to shorten the thought means you are paying attention to the thought. That means it becomes stronger. The only way is ignore it. Let it go. Let it go. Tell yourself, let it go. I'm not going to pay attention to it. Let it go. It is something which happened years ago. It disturbed me, but it's past. I have moved forward. Let it go. And then bring in some, but mind always needs something to hold on to. Bring in some positive thought. Some high ideal.
Thank you.
Pranam Mataji. Actually, what you're trying to say is, yeah, we have to use pratyahara. That is, we have to witness what is going in the mind, the vrittis. So what is important is we have to witness whatever going to the mind and not paying attention. So the first fundamental in the Yoga Sutras is pratyahara. Pratyahara, that is, you witness the mind, but not to pay any attention to the individual vrittis. The only way is that you have to think of, you dovetail your whatever thought to divine. That's the only way you can do meditation. You can't do without doing pratyahara. That's the most important thing, because other things you can do. And of course, in the Yoga Sutras, it says that yama and niyama, the basic qualifications to go through that stage, you have to do the 10 disciplines. Otherwise, if you don't have discipline, it's impossible to control your mind.
Yes,
Whatever you say, it never happen. You can have you can have anybody near you. You don't have the control of the mind. You don't have the basic discipline. It's impossible to get your mind under control. That's very important. That
Yes.
10 disciplines,
yes.
some
The 5 do's and 5
5
don't.
rules and 5 laws.
Yes.
After that, only you can then do pratyahara. You just witness what is going on in your mind, but don't pay attention. Just leave it as it is. That is just yes. Yeah, you have this.
If anyone seriously takes up yama niyama, half the battle is already over. Half the battle is finished. Controlling mind, everything comes very, very easily. Because this basic thing, the most important thing is not given much importance. That is why always control of mind is a warfare. If that is being done, even to certain degree, Swamiji says, to certain degree, if you can practice, things become more easy. That's all. Not that you will get half the battle is over, provided these 2 basics, if you have mastered to certain extent.
All right, so we'll move on now to the next slide. Next little section of this article. The most important thing, Sri Ramakrishna says, in the Vaishnava tradition, the guru gives a mantra to the disciple and tells him about the disciplines he has to follow. Then he says, now it is all with your mind. In Bengali, mantra is pronounced as mantor, and Sri Ramakrishna defines that word as mon, tor, meaning your mind. Any success you get from the mantra's repetition and the meditation on the mantra depends upon your mind. If your mind is your friend, then even if the whole world is against you, you can achieve whatever you want. Again, even if the whole world says it will cooperate with you, you will not achieve anything if your mind does not cooperate. So, the most important thing is to realize that the greatest and the only friend we have is our own mind.
Yes, our mind is our best friend and also the worst enemy. We don't have to go looking for enemies outside. We have got enemy always with us, in us, all the time. And we think that somebody else is our enemy. No, doing harm to us. We are doing harm. Our mind, when it is not under control, is the worst enemy that can have. And if it is under control, our mind is the best friend. We don't need any friend outside, external friends. Outside friend, no. Our mind is our best friend. So how can the mind act as a friend? The mind itself will tell you, give you guidance, what to do, what's the best thing, what is good for you. We have to remember there are 2 things which is pleasing and beneficial. There are many things which are pleasing, but if the mind is your friend, then the mind will tell you, this is pleasing, short-time pleasure you get, but in the long term, it's going to do you harm. But something beneficial, in the beginning it is not very pleasant, hard to work on or to practice, but in long term, this is beneficial for you, it is good for you. The mind itself will tell you. And if the mind is not under your control, don't have any control over the mind at all, then the mind is the worst enemy. The mind will say, oh, come on, let's have this enjoyment. Even if others tell you, no, this is not good, the mind will say, don't. They let them say what. Don't bother about them. Let's enjoy. And then it will lead to your ruin. And it can ruin, complete destruction. It can lead us to complete destruction if the mind is. That's why it can be the best friend or the worst enemy. It's all with our mind. Repetition of the mantra, we repeat the mantra. The mind is traveling everywhere. The repetition is going on automatically. Not much benefit is happening from that. Repetition in the name of God. But if you are concentrating even for a short time, your mind is fixed on the thought of the divine, even for a short time, that will help. But we stumble, we fall down, but we try again. Try. And every attempt is a step forward. Oh, my mind is not steady. I can't control my mind. I cannot fix my mind on God. So it's pointless. There's no point in doing all these things. Then you will never reach. You will never be able to control the mind. You have to start with this restless mind. You have to start. You have to start thinking about the higher ideals with the restless mind only. Then slowly, mind will go away, bring it back. Again and again, Shri Krishna says in the Gita, whenever the mind goes anywhere, for whatever reason, on whatever thought, bring it back again and again and again, little by little. That is, this repeated practice is the only way.
Yes, so we've got some time, of course, for questions. I've got something to share. I was reading, I was wondering whether these elite athletes, whether they use mantras. And they do, although they've got their own, type of secular mantras. So one marathon runner, he keeps repeating calm, calm, calm. And then someone else will say cold execution. They repeat that to themselves over and over. But I do always find it interesting watching these elite athletes that you see what could be very advanced spiritual aspects to their level of concentration
The concentration
and
is
the
correct.
willpower. And if you converted that to applying it to spirituality, spiritual life, imagine if you're matching
How much progress they will
what
make.
these athletes do. Yeah.
The mind is highly concentrated. See what Ajayaprana Mataji used to say again and again, I can, I must, I will. Say that again and again, whether you are, whichever field you are, you will be progressing. I can is confidence. I must, determination. And sorry, I can, I must, and I will. Faith in yourself. I will be able to do it. These athletes who won the medals, their father or mother saying, oh, he or she had faith in herself, believed in herself or himself. So faith in yourself, have faith. I can, I'll be able to do it. You repeat that again and again, you will be able to progress. And they all say, you are what your thoughts are. You think yourself you can, you will be able to do it. Swamiji says, think yourself, you are strong. Say yourself, you are strong, you will be. Think yourself weak, you come weak.
Mataji, if I may just make an observation, it's interesting, just kind of wrapping up a bit of this, which is this whole thing about making your mind your friend. And I think, Robert, you talked about how many decisions we make in a single day, about like 35,000 decisions and things like that. Think about how much of that is negative self-talk versus positive self-talk. If we go the entire day, do something silly and go, oh, that was dumb. Oh, that was silly. Oh, that was that. Who are you talking to? You're talking to yourself. And that's what you're reinforcing.
Yes.
While if you actually let go and actually move forward and just go, okay, next time will be better. Next time will be better. I love the sporting analogies. And when you talk about the sporting analogies, it's like Rafa Nadal, he's a very, very humble, measured winner. And I loved in his book, he said, what is humility? And he said, I look at humility as when my opponent hits a good shot, I give it credit. I go, great shot. And then I move on. And I just hope next time it will be me. But I don't sit there and punish myself for how good he's played. I actually give him credit, accept it, move on. He said, you've got to be positive about how you talk. You hear Novak Djokovic, he talks about, and they said, well, how do you focus in those moments? How do you keep the mental poise? Do you ever get upset? And he says, yes, of course I get upset. I just don't live there.
Yes.
I try and move on. And so this whole thing about being positive to yourself and making it your friend, it's like when you close your mind, do you get negative thoughts or do you get positive thoughts? And I think that's a reflection of how you do talk to yourself. And I just look at it these days as a big opportunity to go, well, regardless of whether it's positive or negative, how do you change it now? How do you change it? How do you move forward? How do you let go of the negative? And how do you just get mentally free and move forward towards what you actually want? It's actually a really interesting piece about, is it your friend or is it your enemy?
Any more comments, questions on this slide? All right, we can move on. Seeing what you carry within. Modern science says you will get from the world only that which your mind has put into it. If I see the world full of confusion and turmoil, it is because I carry it within me. If I see the world full of love, serenity, and compassion, it is because my heart is loving, serene, and compassionate. A little baby does not see any kind of turmoil outside. Sri Ramakrishna gives us a beautiful anecdote. A 2-year-old boy is sitting in the room when a burglar enters and tells the boy, "Shush, don't make a noise." The little boy is very happy that this adult has taken him into confidence. So he cooperates with the burglar to have his house burgled. He is so innocent. He cannot see anything bad in the burglar.
What we have, we see ourselves. That's true. If we have love and compassion, understanding, we find everybody is loving or more love. I don't say completely everybody is loving, but more you'll see more people had that aspect of the other person. See, nobody in the world is completely wicked without any good qualities, no. Without any love, affection, everybody has got. But we tend to concentrate on the negative aspects of another person. We always, it's a, I can say, common human nature to see the other person's fault, other people's faults and negativity. And so often we can hear people saying, "Oh, the world is so bad." The world is bad because there is evil, wickedness in me. If I am completely good, I won't see wickedness in outside. What is the Holy Mother is teaching? If you want peace of mind, don't find fault with others. Look at your own faults. Look at your own faults and change them, correct them. Not that there is no fault outside, but there is no need for you to look at the faults. Nobody has given you the responsibility to remove all the evil from the whole world. We are not put in charge of the whole world. We are just, we change ourselves, the world will change. And what is after all, what's the world? Every individual, collectivity together. So many eyes, I, all of you say I. If all these eyes change, 30, 40 people change, and another 30, 40 people change, slowly the world will become changed completely. So we have love within us, we will be seeing love everywhere, happy people. But if you look at the world now, we seems that most people have hatred, anger within them, because the world is, or whatsoever. We see a lot of evil things going on, war, hatred, fighting. The thing is, we concentrate on that, the media concentrates on, highlights all these things. There are a lot of good things going on to balance the evil deeds happening in the world that we don't hear. Nobody highlights the good things, because there can never be only evil. Swamiji says, even the murderer, the person has got love. Look at, if say somebody has just murdered another person, come home, little baby, my baby comes, he's so happy to lift the baby up, cuddle it. So there is love, there is affection. Nobody is completely evil. But we concentrate on that. We tend to concentrate on that because there is evil within us. If there is no evil within us, we won't be seeing so much of evil. When Holy Mother was told, oh, what's the point of telling your mother you can't see the fault? Then Holy Mother said, the whole world is seeing fault. If I am otherwise, nothing is going to happen. Not that she didn't see the fault, but she didn't concentrate on that, highlighted that. Now nobody is perfect. We all got fault. There is no need to concentrate or highlight our imperfections. Of course, if you are in charge of, say, a teacher in charge of the class, the teacher has to highlight the mistakes of the students. Of course, that's needed. But that does not mean putting down the child, giving a negative impression. Oh, you're good for nothing, you're stupid. There's no need. That what this action or this work is not correct. You can say in different ways. They point out the fault without hurting the person, without damaging the self-esteem of the person. So what we have within us, we see outside. If we have love, we see love outside. If we have hatred, we see hatred outside.
Just wondering whether there's some balance required with this. So there's a term called Pollyannism, where it's to a naive extent looking at the world positively. I mean, you're being unrealistically positive at times. That don't we need to, for our own protection sometimes even, of course, have to see things in a negative light?
See, that is different. It's not seeing the negative light. Somebody's, some injustice is happening in front of you. Not that you close your eyes and you don't see the injustice. No, you see the injustice and you try to stand up and help the person who is being persecuted unjustly. Just because you're following the principle of non-violence, you will allow the violence to happen? No. There is one incident during the Indian independence struggle time. It seems the police harassed the people in one village, and the men, women, all were harassed a lot. When Mahatma Gandhi heard about that, he said, he went there with the village and see the people. And they said, he asked the people, why didn't you protest? Why didn't you stand against the police when they were harassing your women like this? No, because you preach non-violence, so we thought we are following your advice of non-violence. So this is cowardice. When somebody is being harassed unnecessarily for wrong reason, you should have stood up and protested against that. Without saying, oh, this is practicing non-violence, this is cowardice. And Swami Vivekananda says, the cat is trying to catch the mice, and the mice says, oh, I'm practicing non-violence, I won't do anything. Is it non-violent? It's cowardice. When somebody is doing harm with a wrong reason, you have to protest, you have to stand up. As Sri Ramakrishna says, kiss. Show that you are strong. You are strong and you can give a deadly blow, but you just show that I'm strong, but I don't hit you. I can give a deadly blow, but I won't hit you. That is strength. You are weak, you can't do anything. and say I am practicing non-violence, that is real cowardice. So when, oh, everything is good, there is no harm, I don't see any fault, that is deluding yourself. Saying that, oh, everything is going on smooth, fine in the world, there is no harm, there is no evil, because I don't see any evil. These great people, they saw, and they tried to help them overcome the evil propensities. Not that they deluded themselves saying there is no evil, no. And when needed, stand up and fight against the evil.
Any questions, comments before we move on? All right. It is up to us. Jesus writhed in agony on the cross. The very same people falling on their knees the previous day, seeking to touch the hem of his garment and be blessed, were now howling like jackals and wolves for his blood. But he looked at them and said, Father, they know not what they are doing. Please forgive them. His heart overflowed with love for humanity. He could not see any evil around him. It is up to us whether we look at the world with love or distrust and hate.
They hear, Father, they know not what they do. So he knew, he recognized what they're doing, the evil. Not that he didn't see the evil, but he didn't take it into the heart. He knew because they are ignorant, so they are doing this evil. Not that they are not doing evil. They are doing evil, but they are ignorant. So you please forgive them. That is his idea. So because there was love in the heart. This same with the Holy Mother, and when she says, don't find fault with others. Not that she didn't see there's no fault, but you don't have to concentrate on that fault. If you concentrate on the fault, other people's faults, that will actually harm you, because you're concentrating on some negativity. And as we talk about the neural path, the negative neural path will come to you. So slowly, that particular fault which you're pointing in the other person, you will be developing. That's why it's better not to look at other people's faults. Rather, try to improve yourself.
Just wondering, that the words distrust and hate, I wouldn't put them in the same, I wouldn't connect them with the word and. There's bucket loads of scammers out there trying to steal your money dishonestly. I wouldn't trust them as far as I can throw them, but I don't have to hate them. I just have to recognize what they're trying to do and then say, well, I'm not going to join in. I'm not going to let you pinch my money like that. So I don't have to trust them, but I don't have to hate them either.
Yes.
Just related to this, as I've mentioned before, last year when I did a course, one of the things we had to do was to keep a gratitude journal for a week, and every night you had to write down what are the good things in your life, or what are the good things you've noticed. And I was a bit cynical about it to start with. I thought, what's the point of doing that? But then I found very quickly, even after about 2 or 3 days, and by the way, the teacher of the course was going to see our journal. We did need to write something down each night, and you needed to try and find different things each day, what's more. So what I found interesting, even after about 2 or 3 days, I was so busy being on the lookout for what are the good things in my life. Whenever anything negative started to come up, I'd say, go away. I'm sorry, I'm too busy. I'm concentrating on the good things. I need to point them out. I've got to note them down tonight. And even after a few days, I was very surprised to see the change it was having in my outlook on life. I mean, I was surprised how quickly it was improving that. So it's just reminding me this section about how we look at the world, how easily we can change the way we look at the world.
Can I add to that exercise? Because I tried that exercise as well. And the thing that you tend to observe as you go through that exercise, when you get to the end of the day, you close your eyes and go, what am I grateful for? It's less of what you buy or have. It goes to how you feel or how you've made someone else feel. I was just surprised with what I was actually picking up and what I was actually writing down in that gratitude journal. I was expecting it to be the big things that had happened in the day, but it was actually the small things where I'd seen my parents, I'd spent time with my kids, we had a laugh about something. And it was those bits that I was writing down. It just really surprised what I was actually writing about. It had nothing to do with any of the big things that happened actually during the day. So it's a really great exercise, I thought. But it does, this whole quote actually does pull you back and make you think about the broader purpose, where it's often not the little things that happen, but the overall context surrounding and cause that you're actually going to. Like I noticed this with my work and my team. I have 10 people in my team and little things happen in their lives all the time, and little things they'll do have a chance to annoy you all the time if you choose for that to happen. But if you actually take a step back and go, how does this help the team? How do I help them achieve what they want to achieve? And you go for a broader purpose, all of that kind of evaporates away. And you can actually move past and let go of them pretty easily. It was the first thought that went through my head when I read this, when this was read out, going, Father, they know not what they are doing. In simple terms, forgive them. They're behaving how the best they know how. So yeah, quite telling.
Yeah, that's a good point, Adesh, about there's the small things. If we don't take notice of that, we miss a lot, don't we? The small things, the good things, those small good things. Oh.
I've also participated in some workshop a long time ago, where you're not only writing down what you're grateful for and something that you can reflect on, but there was also an exercise where you've been involved in writing the things that caused you unpleasantness. So you write it on little bits of paper, you read it and acknowledge it, and then you tear it all up and throw it away. So it's also, there's also, I've come across where you're able to visualize the negative parts of your thoughts and be able to acknowledge that they did arise and exist, but at the same time for you to, an exercise for you to let go of those thoughts as well and throw it all away. I read somewhere where this person at the office, a manager or something, he used to, at the end of the day, he used to sit for 10 minutes, write all the bad things that happened on a piece of paper and throw it in the garbage bin. And then as he walked out of the office, he left the garbage in the garbage. So only the good thoughts remained with him. So
See, if you write the negative things that happened, somebody said upset you, or you got annoyed, and then afterwards you look at it, that's not a big thing. Why did it upset me so much? Or why did I get annoyed for some simple thing? At that moment you get upset, annoyed, but afterwards you think it was not a big deal. There's nothing so big to get annoyed or upset. So there's a good exercise to write and also throw it away, finish. To get out of my mind, out of my life, throw it away.
All right, so we move on to the next slide.
Do you want to go to the next one? It's already 12 o'clock.
All right, well, look, yeah, it's good. We can keep it. Yeah, it's an interesting one and it'll link well to the
Yeah.
following slides we know too. All right, so thanks, everybody. That's gone very well. And I'll just make a few,
We have got the guided meditation now.
just make a few announcements and then we'll end with a guided meditation. So we will have, on Thursday, we have the yoga class from 10 to 11:15 a.m. here in Vedanta Hall. We'll be having next Friday night, revisiting the Vedanta Book Club. We're going to go over the same slides we've done today. It's Friday nights almost to a large extent like a separate group. But of course, for the regulars who are here today, yeah, please join us on Friday night. We might come up with some other points to discuss. Next Sunday, we have the monthly talk by Pravrajika Gayatriprana Mataji on self-knowledge. And now we will conclude with I'll be conducting a guided meditation. Just give me a few minutes. Let's